Thanks for your interest in Heritage University's Master in Teaching programs. What I want you to do is download the inquiry packet from our website so that you can follow along as we discuss. If you go to heritage.edu and then go to the Master in Teaching page, you can look down at that page, and under the HU Accelerate or HU Residency program, there's a Graduate Inquiry Packet link. Go ahead and download that packet and we'll get going. Great, thanks for doing that. Now we are going to talk about the very first page of the packet, which really just gives the bullet points about the program. The two main programs that we have are the HU Residency program and the HU Accelerate program. We'll talk about the differences between those two programs, but really let's talk about what they have in common. The first thing is, on the first page of your packet, you're going to see bullet points, so let's talk about those. This is an 11-month program, and it always starts in June. Upon completion of the program, you will earn your Master in Teaching degree, your Washington State Teaching Certificate for K through 8, and then also you have an endorsement in either special education or English language learners or bilingual education. So the first thing you want to think about is whether you'd be really interested in teaching special education in some sort of way, or English language learners or bilingual education. One of the questions I get a lot is, I don't speak Spanish, what do I do? It's not about that, right? English language learner endorsement is about the skills and strategies to teach students whose second language is English. It actually really doesn't matter what their first language is. As a teacher, you need to be able to deliver content and subject matters for every level of English language learners. So the next really important thing is that with the HU Accelerate program, you do have the option and possibility to be hired and paid as the teacher of record as early as next fall. That's a really exciting program. It's a great opportunity to work while you earn your master's degree. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. The schedule for both of these programs, for the residency program and the Accelerate program, is 3 semesters. We got to fit it all in 11 months, so we get it done quickly, right? So the summer semester, we start towards the end of June and go through the end of July. That is a 6-week intensive summer institute. We fondly refer to it as the boot camp for teaching, right? If you are in the Accelerate program, a month later after that program's over, you are in the classroom. So we make sure that you get a lot in the summertime. So that summer program is 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, on campus here in Toppenish or in Tri-Cities at the CBC location. The other important thing that we'll talk about more in depth is the testing requirements to get into the program. The WEST-B, the Washington Educators Skills Test Basic, as well as the NES, the National Evaluation Series tests in elementary education, are required to be fully passed before starting this program. That's 5 tests that absolutely must be passed before you begin the program, no matter if you're doing residency or Accelerate. Hi, I just wanted to talk to you really quickly about how to become an emergency substitute teacher and why that's really important if you're thinking about applying to the graduate programs here at Heritage. So becoming an emergency sub or a paraprofessional or something in the school district is going to benefit you tremendously with experience with the public school system. So there's 3 really important things that I think getting out and subbing this year will help you with. One of those things is you get to see if you like teaching. That's really important. There's not a lot of industries where you get to go and just check it out for a couple of days and see if you like it. So please take advantage of that opportunity. The second thing is that you get to make connections with administrators and other teachers and different districts in your area. And that will be really helpful because those are the people that might be able to hire you in the future, or that you can figure out, do you really want to work at that school for that principal, or maybe a different school that is a little bit better vibe or a little bit more suited to you. The third thing that's really important is you find out what grade level you would be most interested in teaching. And that's really going to be important. There's a lot of people who think, yeah, middle school is my thing, and then they end up subbing in a kindergarten classroom or a fourth grade classroom or a high school classroom, and they really realize that they're connecting much more with that different grade level. So I encourage you to sub at lots of different grade levels and find out what you really like. So if you have any questions, let us know. Again, that is my #1 suggestion, is try to get out into the schools, make those connections, find out where you're going to be happy and what grade you're interested in. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the differences in our Master in Teaching programs. One of the programs is called HU Residency, and the other program is the HU Accelerate program. The HU Residency program is technically an alternate Route 3 program through Washington State certification. That's a program where you are partnered with a teacher in a classroom. So it's very similar to student teaching, a traditional student teaching program. So with that, you will complete our Summer Institute, our 15 credits in the summer, where you're doing 8 to 5, Monday through Friday for 6 weeks. And then come the fall, when the school starts, you will be partnered with a teacher in a classroom. This will be a much more gentle way of getting into teaching. If you don't have tons of experience in the classroom already, it's really the better way to go. And then by the end of that teaching year, you will be able to be confident and ready to take on your own classroom the following year. So that's the HU Residency program. The other program is the HU Accelerate program, and it is very similar in terms of the coursework. So you're taking that summer semester, doing our Summer Institute, just like the residency program, but then come the fall, you are the teacher. You are the only adult in the classroom with up to 26 kids or more, right? So I like to call that one the deep end of the pool with the sharks because it is for people who are already able to be hired by a school district. You've already been teaching, maybe you've done long-term subbing, maybe you've been an emergency substitute for years, you have some more experience in public schools, and you feel really ready to take on your own classroom. So that is the situation with the Accelerate program, is that you are teaching right away in the fall, and then you finish out your full school year with the students. Obviously, the benefit there is that you can be paid as the full-time teacher of record with benefits and everything like that. So please consider both of those options, whatever would really work the best for you and make you the most successful and prepare you the best to be a wonderful teacher. All right, now we're going to talk about page 3 of the packet. Page 3 talks about the actual courses that you'll be taking during the program. So the top set of courses are focusing on the English language learner endorsement, and the bottom set of courses is focusing on the special education endorsement. We want to start by looking at the summer semester, and you can look up and down on that page because everybody takes the same exact classes in the summertime. So every student, every classroom that you will be teaching in, there will be a student with special needs and there will be a student who's an English language learner. So we really want to make sure everybody is ready for that first day of class with our summer boot camp. So you get those instructional foundational methods classes in the summer. So again, everybody's taking the same classes in the summer, and then we move into the fall. In the fall and the spring, there's 4 classes that you take with your cohort. There's those classes that start with ED, and you're going to take those classes with everybody that you stayed with in the summertime. And then you see the other classes in the fall and the spring that are either entitled BLE for bilingual education, and that also includes the English language learners. And then the other set is going to be SPED, and that's for the folks who are focusing on special education endorsement. So that is what the classes look like. For summer, it's 15 credits. For fall, it's 14 credits. And then in the spring, it's 11 credits. Now that's a little bit deceiving in the spring, and it's not because we're trying to be nice to you at the end of the program. That's because you're also working on the EdTPA project, and we'll talk about that in just a second. One of the things that you'll need to do in the spring semester of this program is complete the EdTPA project. The EdTPA is a project that the state requires for you to become a certified teacher. So it is really a big writing project. It's a portfolio project. It's not a thesis, so you're not coming up with your own ideas here. You're really answering very specific questions and prompts that come with teaching. So it's a 3-part project. The first part of the project is you creating some beautiful lesson plans. So let's say you're a 4th grade teacher and you're doing your EdTPA in math. That's a project where you would complete 3 or 4 lessons. You'd have beautiful lesson plans. You'd have posters on the wall. You would have all the little blocks that they're going to use to count. You have entry tasks. You have exit tasks. You have a way that you're going to include students in, presenting the material. So you have that's beautiful, right? So that's really section 1 of the EdTPA project, and you're writing about that. How did you plan for that? How did you differentiate for the different students in your class and the different learning levels, the different language levels, and everything like that? That's section 1. Section 2, someone is going to film you presenting those lessons. So you will get to choose a 15-minute clip from one of those lessons to include, and then you write about what happened in that video clip. What are you seeing that students are learning? How well did you present? Are you following your lesson plans really well? Again, there's prompts that you're answering specific questions as you go through this project. Part 3 is really reflecting on the first 2 sections of the project. So you're trying to see, did you plan well? Is that something that worked out well for you? Or did it fail miserably, right? You're a teacher, that happens sometimes, but why did it fail, right? Are you able to reflect on your own teaching? So that's really what this project is about, is reflecting on your own teaching and understanding that it's important to know how to plan and how to get student feedback and how you know that the students learned. So that's the very, very quick version of what the EdTPA project is. We're going to do a very excellent job of supporting you to be successful with that project and to submit that project before you graduate and before you walk across that stage, because you want to have it all done when you walk across that stage and be able to enjoy the rest of the year. So now let's talk about some of those testing requirements. Before we do that, why are you taking these tests? Well, the Washington State Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, which is OSPI, they require you to pass these tests to become a teacher. So really, there's no point in going through a master's program if you can't pass these tests. So that's why we've required them as entrance exams for the program. So the first set of tests are the WEST-B tests, the Washington Educator Skills Test Basic. My first question is always, have you taken the SATs or ACTs? Because if your scores are high enough, you can substitute those scores for the WEST-Bs. So if you got, let's say, a 515 or higher on your SATs, you don't have to take the math section of the WEST-B. So I want you to go to collegeboard.org, and check out your SAT or ACT scores. You should be able to view them for free, and if you scored high enough, you can have College Board send official scores to Heritage University, so you don't have to take the WEST-Bs. Now, if you already know that you didn't take the SATs or ACTs, or you didn't score high enough, then you will have to take the WEST-Bs. So the WEST-Bs are reading, writing, and math, multiple choice tests, and they are given throughout the state. So there's lots of testing centers that you can take those. They're often referred to as kind of like a 10th or 11th grade equivalency test. So for a lot of you, you haven't taken tests, multiple choice standardized tests in a number of years. That's totally fine. We have lots of people who are career changers or people who haven't taken tests like that in a long time who do just fine. That being said, you need to study, right? We do offer some free study guide material on the WEST-Bs, and you can locate those in the packet that I had you download from our website, and to take a look at that and make sure that you are really well prepared for those WEST-B tests. It's $155 to take all 3 sections of the WEST-B tests, and that gives you 5 hours, which includes bathroom breaks, to complete the West Bs. All right, so the other set of tests that you'll need to have passed before you start this program are the NES tests, or the National Evaluation Series tests. These are tests that are about the subject that you want to teach. Our program endorses you to teach kindergarten through 8th grade. So we have you take the elementary education subtests. There's 2 tests in elementary education because you are teaching a lot of different subject matters. So the NES 102 test tests you on your knowledge of English language arts and social studies. The 103 tests test you on math, science, art, health, and fitness. Those are multiple choice tests. And I like to point out that the cut score here, or the score you have to get to pass, isn't very high. It's 220 out of 300. That means you need a C. Most people who are applying to a program like this are not C people, so you'll do just fine. But again, I really do want you to study. These tests I have personally taken, and I'm a good student, and I still thought that they were pretty hard, just because they can almost ask you anything. So, that being said, I really want you to go to Amazon or find another study guide that you can look at and put in some work with this, right? So that you don't have to take it again. It's $95 to take both NES tests, and you can schedule those on separate days. So it's $95 for both tests. Okay, so the last test that you'll take will be towards the end of the program, and that will be your endorsement test. So if you decide to take your special ed, focus on special ed, you'll take the special ed endorsement test. Or if you're focusing on English language learners, you'll take that test. Again, this is towards the end of the program. This is not an entrance requirement test, right? So, and honestly, you'll have to do very little studying for this test because you will have already had 10 or 12 credits worth of coursework in this area. So do a little bit of studying, but we have never had anybody have a problem passing their endorsement test. Okay, so if you're wondering what do you do to start, how do you apply, go to page 5. That's our checklist to get into the program. So that's really going to give you every single thing that we will need from you to get into the university, as well as be accepted into this program at the graduate level. Step 1 is applying to the university. So go online, heritage.edu, and check out the Apply Now button on the quick links. Also, you want to start and contact your university for your undergraduate degree or your most recent degree and make sure that we have those transcripts. You'd be surprised at how long it takes to send transcripts in the mail. So please start that process now. Also, you want to think about applying for FAFSA, which is Federal Student Aid. I would say 98% of the people in this program use federal loans to pay for the tuition. This is a unique situation because our program spans over 2 separate academic years, which means that you need to apply for this academic year and fill out the FAFSA for that so that you can be covered for the summer tuition, and then the following academic year so you can be covered for fall and spring tuition. So please make sure you have 2 separate FAFSAs filled out, and the financial aid people here are fantastic, and they will be able to help you secure aid for the summer, fall, and spring semesters. So step 1, apply to the university, get your transcripts in, fill out all that basic information online, and make sure that you fill out your FAFSA. If you have any questions about financial aid, you want to contact financialaid@heritage.edu. So then step 2 is really about applying to the College of Education and this Master's in Teaching program. Guess what? The first thing we're going to ask is for your test scores. So that is absolutely something that you need to be focusing on throughout this application process, is getting your West B and your NES tests complete, passed, and looking really good. I like to mention, however, especially to my high achieving folks, you don't have to ace those tests. All you have to do is pass with the passing score. It's 240 for the West B tests, which is a B. It's 220 for the NES tests, which is a C. You don't get paid more if you score higher. So please get those tests done and get us those scores. We will also look at your undergraduate degree and look for at least a 3.0 for the last 30 semester or 45 quarter credits. That usually ends up being like the second half of your undergraduate degree. So please make sure that that is all in order, and that requires you to get us your transcripts. So again, make sure to order those now. We will be asking for letters of recommendation. So we want to see at least 2 letters of recommendation, and one of those needs to be from the education world, right? Ideally from an administrator of a public school. But if you have been able to be a substitute teacher or you've been in the school system for a while as a paraeducator, that's a recommendation letter that can come from a core teacher in a classroom who keeps asking you back to be the substitute because you leave awesome notes or the students are really having great feedback about you. Another thing you can do is ask someone if you volunteered with students before in a community group or something like that who has kind of seen how you work with students. We want to hear from that person. So again, 2 letters of recommendation. One really needs to be from someone educationally related. You will also come in for an interview with a panel of faculty and community members here in the College of Education. So that means that we want to see your interview skills, we want you to dress to impress, and we want to see if this program is right for you. So you come in for an interview. They happen between 2 and 6 p.m. so we can accommodate after work schedules, and those schedules that will start in January, and we're going to have interviews every single month up until May. You will complete a background check as well. So the background check, also really important. You're working around kids, right? So that's something you're just going to fill out. Nothing you have to pay for, but you fill out a piece of paper so we can look up your name. Another thing that we want you to turn in is the writing sample for this program. So you can see on the checklist, look down at your checklist, you're going to see that there is a article, and you can see that it's a link there with bit.ly HU Ed Rising. So if you see that kind of hyperlink there, you want to click on that, and that is a link to the Educators Rising website and a link to the page that you will read that article for free and then answer the questions down below. A little bit higher level thinking questions, right? We want to see what your writing style is and if you're going to be successful with this master's program. It is a lot of writing and it is a master's program, so we want to make sure you can be successful with all of that. One easy piece is send in your resume, right? We want to know where you've been and what you've done. So that's an easy one to check off the list, and you can do that right away. The other thing that you'll want to do is complete the application for admission to the teacher prep program, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Great, now we're going to talk about page 6. Page 6 is just as simple as it looks. Don't overthink it. The top section of that page is your basic information, and then the bottom section of the page is all about your test scores. So go ahead and fill out your West B test scores and your NES test scores. Remember, if you can substitute your SAT or ACT scores for the West B, go ahead and do that. There's a line for it. Sign at the bottom and then send that in to us. This turns into your ticket to getting an interview. And the interview is one of the final steps of the application process. So the final page of the packet is really all about how much everything costs. This is not a cheap program, which is why I want you to go and sub in the school districts and find out, do you really want to be a teacher? It's also really important to find out if you are interested in a certain grade level, because you want to be as happy as you can while you go through this program. So the program is 40 credits, and our graduate tuition rate is $770 per credit as of the 18-19 school year. So that 40 credits, again, 15 credits in the summer, 14 credits in the fall, 11 credits in the spring, that equals out to $30,800 for this entire program. Yes, it's expensive, but at the same time, you come out with your Master in Teaching degree, your Washington State Teaching Certificate for K-8, and an endorsement in either special education or English language learners. We have a lot of teachers right now that have been certified and have been teaching for the last 15 years who come back to us for an endorsement, and that endorsement's at least 16 credits. So that's multiple thousands of dollars that they have to pay on top of that. we're really sending you across that graduation stage with a really amazing transcript, degree, diploma, and certificate for Washington State teaching. So it's all really worth it if you really want to be a teacher. So that is the graduate tuition rate and how much the whole program costs. Books and supplies are about $250 to $350 per semester, and there are, as always, additional fees that pop up throughout the year. A few things that are going to come up before you're in the program, before you would get financial aid, things that are going to come out of your pocket, such as applying to the university is $95. Taking the West B tests, if you have to do that, it's $155 to take all 3 sections of the West B at once. If you have to take the West B individually, which really might be suggested for people who have maybe a little testing anxiety or they're worried about the time frame, you can take the West B tests separately, and it's $75 to take each section of that test separately. Also, the NES tests are $95, but that's for both tests. So you can schedule those tests on separate days, and the total for the NES is $95. So all 3 of those things are going to have to come out of your pocket before you even apply officially for the program, or kind of while you're applying. Also, when you become an emergency substitute teacher, they ask that you get fingerprints because, again, they're going to run a background check. You are working with students. The fingerprints are good for 2 years, so you won't have to redo them to get into the program, but it is $75 with the local ESD. We also ask that you pay us for graduation. So we're going to give you a really fancy diploma, a cap, gown, and a hood, and be able to walk across that stage. That's $210. Taking your West E test, E for endorsement, that's something that you'll take towards the end of the program. That's $155. The EdTPA project, which we haven't talked about a whole lot, that's $300. So we are going to ask, there's always some fees that are probably going to come out of your pocket, and those fees are all listed on the last page of the packet that we've been talking about. So I want you to know about them ahead of time. I want to be really transparent about what this program entails and how much it costs. We're really excited that you're thinking about this program, and if you have any questions about the finances and things like that, the best people to talk to are the folks here at Heritage University in the financial aid department. They can give you a lot of the more nitty-gritty details about what it takes to afford a program like this.